So year 10 of Smite has come to a close, giving us up to 6 new gods this year, that being Surtur, Martikaras, Ischel, Charon, Mama Brigitte, and Baki Korjira. I'll be going through these gods into 3 different categories and give them a score from 1 to 5. I'll also be rounding up these scores at the end. Visuals, how the god looks and how their abilities look. Gameplay, how are the gods' kits, if I think they are either unique or if I like them or not. And finally, my personal experience, how does it feel going up against this god or playing as this god. Now with all that said, let's go to year 10 of the gods in Smite. Bringing Ragnarok with him, Surtur the Fire Giant was the first god released in 10.1 and on the Season of Monsters. Surtur's visuals look great. I love how much of a hulking brute he is. I especially love how much power he has whenever he swings his sword. Most of his abilities look great, especially when he ults. Seeing that giant meteor coming down looks great. So Surtur visuals gets a 4 out of 5. I like how mostly he looks, but they are not a 5 out of 5 for me. Now to Surtur's gameplay. Surtur is a good definition of a lane bully, how he can build magical damage with his wand, also spawning an imp. He can also throw your own minions at you with his 2, which is my favorite thing about his kit. The rain he creates with his 3 that he can either apply pressure on either your wave, tower, or even onto you. But my least favorite thing about Surtur's kit is his ultimate and passive. I find his passive to be kind of boring. His ultimate, while visually looking cool, is just kind of lacking. Sure, you can use it to dive down on enemy gods, applying a nice knockup, and also create a good decent amount of imps for you. It just doesn't fit with his design for me. I think he should have more of an engaging ultimate that allows him to charge in more. And while he can do that with his ultimate, most of the time though you're going to be using his ultimate as an escape rather than engaging onto an enemy. So Surtur's gameplay for me gets a 3.5 out of 5. I like most of Surtur's kit, but his passive and ultimate is just not it for me. Now to the personal experience with Surtur, it's either you're laugh spamming while you brutally destroy their solo laner, or you just want to question what do you even do. What makes going against Surtur even more annoying to me is what I mentioned earlier, his ultimate. Most Surtur players I have gone up against will mostly save his ultimate for safety. He'll just walk on you, deal some damage, and then just leaves. But playing as Surtur, you just pretty much won the lane for free most of the time, and he's also just kind of fun to play. So my personal experience for Surtur is going to be a 3 out of 5. He's definitely fun to play, but if you're going up against him, you're just going to want F6 most of the time, especially if you're the solo laner. So Surtur's total score will come to 3.5 out of 5. Not a bad score for the first god release this year. Sorting his way into the update right after Surtur is Martikaras. But before I go over anything, did you know Martikaras is an original character and there is no such thing as a Manticore king in Greek mythology? But also Martikaras is the Persian name for Manticore. But anyways, for Martikaras visuals, I definitely really wanted a Manticore in the game at some point, and Martikaras doesn't disappoint. While he does look like a standard Manticore, he does have some things that make him stand out. One being his horns and claws are glowing green and showing off the poison he has. I like the skulls that he has on him and how his horns on his head makes it look like he has his own crown. But there is one thing that bothers with me with his design, and that is his hair. How does a creature with feline paws braid his own hair? Does he have some humans that do it for him but then just eats him after, or like what? But his visuals do look nice, however his ability visuals are kind of boring and nothing too amazing. So I'll be giving Martikaras a 3.5 out of 5. While I do like most of his visuals, I just think at the same time he's not too impressing. Now to Martikaras' gameplay, and it is just honestly boring. Most of his kit is just, oh, you can do that, but I can do this better. He has Chernobog's 1-2 combo and Freya's ultimate, but both of these are just juiced up. His one isn't too interesting, just a line that slows and deals tick damage, and the only thing unique about him is his 3 stalk prey. But even that ability is interesting. So Martikaras' gameplay will come to a 2 out of 5. Probably my least favorite kit that was released this year, and nothing to really run home about. Now to the personal experience as well, as fun as it is to fish in your own bathtub, nothing about this god was fun playing as him. You were like, wow, I feel like an asshole. And going up against him feels like, man, What an asshole. Despite how boring Martigras's kid is, he dominated for way too long. What didn't help is despite the nerfs he had got, the items that Martigras likes to build got buffed, so he stayed in the meta for quite a bit amount of time. And no one had fun, especially if you were the one going up against him. So he gets a 1 out of 5 from my personal experience. And I really hope the next hunter isn't overtuned, or at least they have something to make them a bit more unique. So Martigras's total score come to a 2.2 out of 5, the lowest score, and probably will remain that way. Bringing hope across the battlefield is Ishchel, the Light Weaver. Ishchel was released on 10.4 at the start of Season of Hope. Now for Ishchel's visuals, I really like her design. I love how colorful she is, but that's definitely expected for her. I like how her abilities look with their colors, and her ultimate looks very cool. But she's also the very few guys that are on the more chubbier side, which I think is unique, despite how many people were against that idea. Her visuals come to a 5 out of 5, a really well designed god. It's nice to see a new Mayan god ever since Camazot's release back in 2016. Now for Ishchel's gameplay, for the most part I think Ishchel's pretty well designed for her to either go full aggressive or make her into a support. I think her one is unique with the 2 different forms despite it being the most boring of her kit. I like how her 2 works, being able to do some healing but also potentially use this ability for the knock-up value. And I do like how her 3 is kind of a small somewhat mini game. If you want to collect the speed boost, you gotta collect one of her light fragments. For ult, while being pretty simple, I think how you get the extra duration by hitting an ally enemy at the same time is somewhat kinda unique. But her passive, I feel like doesn't fit her well in my opinion. For how she's designed as somewhat of a utility mage, her passive that gives effects to her base attack feels weird to me. I feel like maybe instead they should have had where whenever she's at max stacks, her abilities will either gain more positive or more negative effects. Like maybe her 2 could do a little bit more healing, or her 3 could have a slightly longer root duration. But I'll be giving her kit a 3.5 out of 5. I don't super love it, and if I'm playing mage support, I'll just go Baron, but I'll play Ishchel from time to time. Now my personal experience is kinda hard to say, to be honest. Despite how usually new god releases go that everyone picks the new god, for me Ishchel is kinda dropped after a week, and it's not that she is bad at any means, I just don't think she's super good though. She isn't the best mid laner nor support to use, but she also isn't bad. But she was definitely the weakest god that was released this year, receiving nothing but buffs throughout this season. But for the little experience I have as or against her, she is fine. I really don't have too much of an issue with her. Sure, you can get caught in her 2-3 combo, which can be annoying, and her healing can also be annoying, but nothing crazy once you build anti-heal. So rating for personal experience would come to a 3 out of 5. She isn't bad to play, or going up against her may be annoying, but there are way more better and way more annoying supports than her. So Ishchel's score would come to 3.8. Isn't good with her gameplay, but have some pretty good visuals, but it was also nice to see them return the Mayan Pantheon after not adding a god in that Pantheon for quite some time. Sailing his way into this year in the Season of Souls is Charon, the Ferryman, released in 10.7. So, for Charon's visuals, I think they are the best compared to the rest of the gods this year. I love that instead of making him an old man, that they made him into a skeleton, which is very unique, since when it comes to the gods in Smite related to death or the underworld, none of them are fully a skeleton. I also love that Charon's always on his boat and the candles that he has on him and on the boat. I also think his animations look great, how he sails, and the dark blue colors that his abilities give off look great. So Charon's visuals score a 5 out of 5 for me. Nothing really to complain about Charon's design. I think they really nailed this one. While he's not the most skill-expressive Guardian compared to the recent ones like Maui or Atlas, Charon's kit is just fun. His one being kind of basic is nice to help cancel out any abilities with the silence, and also the trail of damage is nice that he leaves. I like how his 2 interacts where you and your ally can gain a shield if you are hitting the marked enemy god. I like the feeling of his 3 when you just charge at an enemy with full force, then with the root is also nice. His ultimate just feels so good to use, creating the giant wave across the map while buffing your allies or fearing enemies when they are hit by the wave. The only thing I don't like about Charon is his passive. Now, I don't mind the extra health you get, but I think it's just kind of boring. The fact that there's a cap of how many souls you can collect before you recall is kind of ugh, really. It just feels like a task at times to just fully stack up the passive. And once it's stacked up, there's nothing really else you can do with the passive. I kind of think maybe at max stacks, Karen should be able to get an additional effect made with his abilities or what, but I'm not sure what exactly because it could make Karen a little bit too strong. So Karen's gameplay comes to about 4.5 out of 5. I really love Karen's kit, but his passive is just too boring for me. So for personal experience, I'm already giving a 5 out of 5. Karen's a really fun god for me, and probably a new guardian I'll rotate every once in a while when playing. His kit feels good, and if someone on the enemy team is Karen, it's never been a problem where I think this god was too OP or unhealthy for the game. So Karen scores a total of 4.8 out of 5, a near perfect score. Celebrating her way into the battleground is Mama Brigitte, Protector of the Dead. Released on 10.10 in the Season of Celebration, Mama Brigitte, despite being classified as a mage, was actually our assassin this year, since we didn't get a new god for that role. For her visuals, Mama Brigitte is very fun looking. Just like how I feel with Bear and Samedi, if I die and I end up meeting her in the underworld, I know there's gonna be a party nearby. I also like her voice lines in the game, and I know I didn't really mention the voice lines of the previous gods, but her voice lines have so much personality. Here, listen to a couple.
You stupid motherfucker. Well, how do you do? Oh, now ain't that a shame? Could you imagine if roosters laid eggs? There'd be so many dad yolks at our disposal.
And that's just my favorite thing about Mama Brigitte, is the amount of personality she has. It just makes me smile. She also has some cool looking visuals with her abilities, her 2 and her ultimate specifically, so she'll get a 4 out of 5 for visuals. I like her a lot with her visuals, but the only reason why it's not a 5 out of 5 is that I'm not the biggest fan of her outfit, but it still looks nice. Now to her gameplay, Mama Brigitte is one of the most unique gods that has been released for quite some time. Most of her abilities will definitely take some time for you to fully master or be able to pull off correctly. Her one with the meter cost you use and the potential double stun you can pull off with will definitely take you some time to fully be able to do. Her 3, while being the most frustrating thing about her to go against, but you also risk yourself out of position potentially if the enemy just dashes to their support or jungler just to help shut you down. I also think her scaling how large her ultimate can be is also very neat, so her gameplay gets a 4.5 out of 5. The reason why it's not a 5 out of 5 is not because she's the most difficult god to master this year, it's more the fact that her passive thing is just kind of boring, but also really good with the increased damage per missing health the target has. Now, to the personal experience, Mama Brigitte was fun and not fun. Mama is a fun god to play. Even I who doesn't really like playing the jungle can't help but having a blast whenever I'm playing this god. However, going up against her is also a completely different story. The most frustrating thing about her kit is her 3, where she can just dash into you, become immune to damage and CC while she saps away your health. When first heard she'll have a knock stash but more aggressive, I thought that would be neat, but now it's one of the most annoying things about her kit. That being said, I'm giving Mama Brigitte a 3 out of 5 for personal experience. While she is a fun god, going up against her feels more toxic than the Loki on your team. So Mama Brigitte's total score will come to a 3.8, tied with East Chow. But once the scoring ends, I'll choose one of these goddesses I prefer more. Well, here comes an unexpected god release, that being Baki Kojira, the yokai of despair, released on 10.13 in the Season of Worlds. Baki Kojira is the last god for year 10 and being our second guardian, a class that hasn't gotten a double release in one season in quite some time. But to Baki Kojira's design, I really like it. He's definitely the most unique looking god out there since we don't have anything like him. But also his design is just cool looking. The fact that he's a ghost whale is already cool on its own, but then you realize the front part of him is what's remaining left of him, since he has 4 fins, 2 being his flesh and the other 2 being his bones. I especially cannot wait to see this god's skins when they come out. Unfortunately, most of Baki Kojira's ability visuals are pretty boring to be honest, but he still gets a 4 out of 5 for me. Maybe it's because I love when Smite adds more monster looking characters in the game, but you can't blame me for this cool looking ghost whale. Now to Baki Kojira's gameplay. Well, he's definitely designed for the solo lane. Most of his kit is all around boxing his opponent, is one with the basic attack, radius increase, or protection stacking, combining with your passive allowing your basic attacks to do increased damage the more protections you build, helps him clear very fast with his AoE basic attacks. His 2 is neat with the curse allowing you lower your cooldown with this ability. His 3 is pretty boring, pretty much a copy of one of Hercules' abilities, but his ultimate is good to use both aggressive or defensive. So Baki Gojira's gameplay gets a 3.5 out of 5. Not my most favorite, but still a very fun playstyle. Now to the personal experience, is that Baki Gojira is similar to Mama Brigitte to me. A fun god to play but an annoying god to go up against. The times I played Baki Gojira was mostly the support role, but I also did a few solo games with him, and I can say he's definitely better for the solo lane rather than support. However, this doesn't mean he's a bad support. He applies a lot of pressure for him in his dual laner, making it hard for some supports to combat him. But Baki Gojira can also be easily shut down due to how large he is, so it is sometimes a coin flip if you're playing as him in the support role. So Baki Gojira gets a 4 out of 5 for me. I really like playing him support and I will play him every once in a while, but after grinding him to rank 10, I'm gonna need a small break from this god. So Baki Gojira's score comes to 3.7 out of 5. The god I think is neat but also is annoying at times. So after tallying up the scores, here are the god placements. At 6th place we have Martikaros with 2.5 out of 5. At 5th place we have Surtur with 3.5 out of 5. 4th place Baki Gojira 3.7 out of 5. Ishchel and Mama Brigitte both with 3.8, but I feel like I'm going to give Mama Brigitte the 2nd place and Ishchel 3rd place since I think overall I just like Mama Brigitte a bit more. And first place being Carol with 4.8. Looking back at these scores, I mostly agree with them. However, I might swap Ishchel and Baki Gojira, but it might be because I'm a little bit burnt out playing Baki Gojira. But that's all the year 10 god releases, and what did you think of them? Did you agree with my placements, or would you like to swap things out? Let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, that'll wrap up today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If so, hit that like button. If you're new at all to the channel, hit that subscribe button, definitely appreciated. But anyways, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.